from passing Terrell Davis for the most rushing yards in a single season, including the playoffs in NFL history. All right, Jeff, is Saquon already an all-time great running back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think, listen, he's had some injuries that affected his long-term, but when you think about what he's capable of doing, playing for your Giants.
Yeah, don't even talk about that.
Hey, the deck's been stacked against him.
I don't know if they're actually my Giants.
You know what I mean?
Anymore. We might have broke up.
The deck has been stacked against him, and this guy is what you're finally seeing is what he would have looked like had he been given the same ability in front of him, quarterbacks, all those things. When you watch how defenses played the Giants, they will load up and just try to stop Saquon and then force Daniel Jones or whatever the quarterback was at the moment to go beat them. I don't care how good you are. It's very difficult. Saquon Barkley is a special human. And what you've seen him do this season, I think would have been replicated many times over had he been in a situation like he has found himself in Philly.
So immediately when I saw this question, I said, absolutely. And then I took a step back because I'm like, okay, let's not do what we always do, which is be prisoners of the moment. And then I started thinking, in my mind he is. Listen to Andy Reid. Andy Reid said this week they have one of the best running backs ever. Mm-hmm. That is Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches ever, saying that about Saquon. In my opinion, yes, but I think what is the criteria? Because when you start going down the list of greatest, if you pull out the Mad Dog Almanac of greatest ever, you're talking about Jim Brown and Barry Sanders and Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith and Eric Dickerson and all these guys. I don't know where to put him in there, and I don't want to say, is he better than Walter Payton? Like all these names. I don't know. I think in this, what we're seeing today's football, yes, Saquon is. But I'm not going to argue against a historian like Mad Dog if he's going to come out and name names from the 1950s until now. Like, I think it's really the criteria. If you look at his numbers, because of the Giants, I keep pointing to you, Molly. Like, because, you put his numbers against other people, it's not going to look as impressive.
No,
but when you watch him on the field, when you watch him hurdling a defender backwards, that tells you we have not seen something like this. But again, I defer to the historian of the show.
Well, I give you credit. You only forgot Hugh McElhenny, but other than that, your historical thing with the running backs was absolutely tremendous. Let's take it easy on Saquon Barkley. He's had four. Laugh, Jeff, the hater. He's had four Hall of Fame years. He had he's had three with the Giants, and he had in 2022, then he had his rookie year and another year with the Giants, and this year he's had four. Jim Brown led the league in rushing from 57 to 64. 65. I mean, throw in the idea that you're talking about a guy like Peyton. I think Derrick Henry's had a better career at this moment than Barkley's had, and I love Derrick Henry, and Barkley's special, don't get me wrong. But if you look at their careers to date, currently, Henry's had a better career. So to say that Barkley is one of the great running backs in the history of, have you heard of Gale Sayers and O.J. Simpson and Marcus Allen? And there's a million guys. John Riggins. There's Emmett, you mentioned, Sanders. There's 15, 20 guys we can bring up. I can't put him on that level yet. He's only had the 4 years. 7 or 8, 9 years. Then we talk about one of the great running backs of all time.
Yeah, I will say this. I think part of that for me is how defenses have to play a guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't always look at the numbers. Like, I do this with defensive players as well, that people are like, I'll say, hey, that guy was a Hall of Famer, right? Like the way he played, but because we had to defend him differently. I think Saquon is a guy you have to defend differently. And I said, I understand the point on the numbers, and you're totally right. He has not gotten himself to that conversation. And both of you make great points about the all-times. I'm just telling you, with the ball in his hands, whether you're throwing it to him, he's got great hands catching it. He's explosive. He can take the thing yard. Not every running back can do all things. I think he's one of those guys who can do all things extremely well. But he does have to be in the right situation. I would not compare him to the Barry Sanders of the world, like what you're saying. But I would say he gets up there for me, for the Marcus Allens, for the Derrick Henrys, because he's a different player. He just has not unfortunately, he hasn't been in a stable situation in New York that gives him the opportunity to showcase his talents year in and year out.
So, Doggy, what do you think about Andy Reid saying that the Eagles have a running back who is one of the best in history? That doesn't carry any weight to you as well?
Well, what is Reid going to say? You know, he's an okay back. Of course he's going to say that. And Reid always is. Reid is a great guy. He's always pepping up his opponent.
No. You can say, listen, you don't have to say that's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. You can be like, she's pretty. Like, you don't have to say he's one of the greatest of all time if you just think he's a good back. I don't think Andy Reid is in the game of hyperbole.
I don't know. Before Super Bowl, I think
I agree with that, but I don't know Andy Reid well. I don't know Andy Reid well enough if he can break down Jim Brown or Jim Taylor or Paul Hornung's career. I mean, he might just be one of those who knows the football from 1995 on. I don't know if he can go back 50, 60 years and tell me about Steve Van Buren, but he's not on. Listen, I understand what Jeff says. He's had an incredible year. I get it. But, I mean, to put him up there with some of these legendary, year after year, 10 years, you can't. He's had 4 seasons. It's not
you know
fair.
What?
Is Derrick Henry's career better? Would you say?
Oh, yeah, his career overall is better.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's longer.
Absolutely.
Longer.
Yeah.
Saquon, here's how Saquon will be the greatest player that had we seen him with another team.
Right.
With a different roster, his career numbers look completely different.
Right.
He is a different type of talent. Unfortunately, just being stuck with the Giants.
You're 100%. And the other part about the running back, and I will say this, I probably didn't give this enough thought from this perspective. I respect the guys who have done it 10 years, right? Like the 8, the 10 years, like you're saying, that you stack season because the beating on their body that they continue to subject themselves to and continue to get better and play those numbers. So if Saquon backs it up next year, and runs this thing back and has a similar style year, not exactly, but has a good year, then I think, you're probably right on that side.
If he had broken Eric Dickerson's record.
Oh, that's the most disgusting thing.
I'm so mad about it still. I know.
I'm all
physically. I'm with you. That was foul. And now he
nauseous.
can break TD's record, though.
That would be sweet.
All right, let me ask you this. Better story, Mahomes three-peat or Saquon winning his first Super Bowl, obviously with the whole Giants backdrop and how they dogged him?
To me, it is Saquon and Jaylen winning a Super Bowl, because it's not the Chiefs' fatigue factor for me. It is, we already know how great Patrick Mahomes is. He can get better. Clearly, he can win more Super Bowls, but we already have established he's one of the best we've ever seen. But when we're literally debating Saquon Barkley. Is he one of the greatest running backs? And each week of this season, up until heading into the Super Bowl, we have given this guy so much praise and saying, we haven't seen this. He's tremendous. And yet his career is still sort of hampered by those years spent in New York. And now he's finally at a position where he has the offensive line he's always needed. He's got the roster that he's needed, the opportunity to get and win a Super Bowl. And also with Jalen Hurts, listen, say what you want. The questions about him and whether he is the weak link here, whether he can lead this team to a Super Bowl. The guy was just in a Super Bowl 2 years ago without Saquon Barkley. Yeah. And